Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I wanted to showcase Shadow Gliscor in the Ultra League. This is one of my favorite Pokemon in the past when it ran Wing Attack, but Wing Attack getting nerfed made it so Shadow Gliscor was actually pretty bad in Ultra League, but in this current season, Sand Attack was added into its moveset. This Pokemon is such a strong core breaker in the Ultra League, and it's one of my favorite Pokemon in the past, so I wanted to give it a go today. If you want to see these battles live, I stream almost every day at twitch.tv/ItsAXN. I'd love to see you there, but let's get into the battles and see what Shadow Gliscor can do. Alright, getting right on into game number one here. Shadow Gliscor in the lead up against a Galvantula, one of the best leads I could ask for. I resist basically every charge move and fast move that this thing could have, so I am a very good spot. They end up safe swapping a Licky, a Pokemon I don't really have a good answer to, but our Shadow Gliscor can go for these sand attacks and these earthquakes, chip it down into a range where our own Licky should be able to deal with it later on. They are going to be able to absorb a lot of the damage though that we're going to throw with our Gliscor and with our Licky. Probably survive a move here and maybe even get to a Hyper Beam against us, which ends up doing a ton of damage to our own Licky. Thankfully, though, that takes a lot of energy to reach. They're not going to reach another one anytime soon. Earthquake is going to come through from our Licky. Barely not knock them out, but we can get the rollout down, have energy for that Galvantula or whatever else might come in. It is going to be Galvantula that tries to farm us down. We have rollout as super effective fast move pressure. We have Body Slam as well. Not the strongest move out there, but it is going to chip them down pretty low because Galvantula is very squishy. They throw a charge move. A lunge might not knock us out from this range. It's going to be close. Is it going to be enough? Nah, just barely not enough to knock us out. In comes a Moltres, farms us down, and now I see the way we're going to win this game. I have to get a lot of fast food pressure. I have to get shields down, but if we can put this into Aerial Ace range and get both shields from this Moltres, I should be able to win this matchup. This is a risky call. Brave Bird would be a catastrophic move to no shield. Thankfully, we no shield the Ancient Power properly. We end up going for the Scald. We should be able to draw a shield before our Tentacruel has to consider shielding itself. And now, no debuff, but we are still in a very good position. They're going to throw another charge move here. Oh, yes, not yet. They're going to let us throw another Scald, which means we get both shields from this Moltres, and they do have a lot of energy here, but I don't know if they can really sucker punch us down before we get to another charge attack. They don't want to risk it. They don't want to take any more fast move pressure, because if they do take more fast move damage, then potentially an Aerial Ace could be enough to knock out. I think they might survive it. This is Ultra League. Moltres is a pretty bulky Pokemon, all things considered, so even though I can reach an Ace here, it might not be enough to knock out from this range. Ancient Power is going to go shielded, unfortunately a good bait by our opponent, and in comes that Galvantula. Need to throw a charge move before potentially a lunge is thrown. I cannot afford getting a debuff on our Gliscor here. That would be an instant way to lose this game. Back comes in that Moltres. We've reached the Aerial Ace, but is this enough to knock them out? I have to hope that even if it isn't, it's enough to put them into Sand Attack range before they reach two charge moves. Not barely enough, but our Sand Attacks add up over time, take out the Flying type Pokemon, and win us this game. GG's to them. Next game, the Mirror Match. Looks like the opponent loves seeing the Gliscor as well, but this is going to be a very CMP reliant matchup. Who has the higher attack here is going to be the one who wins this game, and we are going to go for the Aerial Ace in the lead on alignment. Let's see if they throw instantly as well. They do, which means we are going to be able to win this matchup pretty comfortably. Back in the day when you ran Wing Attack on Gliscor, you could kind of get away with getting two charge moves and the Wing Attack damage adding up, but because in the Gliscor mirror you're both resisting ground type damage, you actually need three charge moves there. We catch a Hydro Cannon on our Tentacruel when they save up their Shadow Feraligatr, but we're going to be able to absorb this damage, hopefully go for Scald, just neutralize this Shadow Gator, and make it so our Gliscor gets to avoid this. Our backline is so strong against this Pokemon, Tentacruel and Licky both able to absorb all of the damage from this, and now try to go for a Scald of our own, maybe draw a shield, maybe knock this Pokemon out. Let's see what ends up happening. Scald is going to come through. They let it go. And now, if we can, we're going to go for an ambitious farm down. We don't quite get it, but now we're in range where I could potentially Sand Attack this down and have even more energy on our Shadow Gliscor. I'm going to come in here with Gliscor. As I was saying, I'm not really that concerned about Gliscor on the opposing side, especially with how much energy I have right now. We should be in a pretty good spot. What is going to come in? Is there opposing Gliscor? I'm going to throw my first Aerial Ace. If they want to stay in, they're going to have to shield, and probably even double shield at this point if they want to be able to ever do any sort of substantial damage to my Gliscor. I just have so much of an energy lead here. We get to another move before they're even able to throw a single attack against us. This is going to draw their first shield, and now I'm going to overfarm, try to get this next Aerial Ace off. They let us CMP here. This is going to draw their second shield, and now I think we're in a very good position unless they have like a fighter in the backline. That said, definitely could be a fighter, right? We haven't seen their third Pokemon. They're staying in this matchup. They seem kind of scared of Gliscor as well, so I'm going to shield this up. But no, their final Pokemon, actually a Greninja, a thing that would actually have been pretty good into our Gliscor. Kind of surprised they didn't bring this in. Maybe they're scared with how much energy I had that they didn't want to bring that Pokemon in earlier this game. But I can come in Licky, absorb these Hydro Cannons. Even these Water Shurikens aren't doing that much damage to us, and our rollouts are chunking them down pretty low as well. I'm going to have to go for an Earthquake and then probably a Body Slam if I want to take out Greninja. Unfortunately, Licky doesn't have a great neutral move. It's either go for the nuke or go for the low energy body slam. No, just in between. So we're going to go for that nuke, go for the CMP. It looks like I wanted to overfarm to make sure I have some energy going into that Gliscor later on. I couldn't give them a huge energy lead here. If I were to give them enough energy to get to 2 air releases, they could farm down my Licky and get to 2 moves against our Gliscor. So now I have energy on Gliscor, I have energy on Licky. They had to let me get to a move here. They have to hope they survive body slam, get the farm down, and air release us. But I know at this point Licky has enough in the tank to knock out the Gliscor and win us that match. Our next game, Shadow Gliscor into a Shadow Feraligatr. Very awkward lead matchup here, but as I was saying earlier, we have a lot of Pokemon in the back that can deal with this Pokemon. They are going to build up a lot of energy here, but then they come in with a Drifloon. That is by no means an answer to a Tentacruel with Blizzard, especially when we're up this much energy. I'm just going to full send it here. If we get a shield, good. If we get the knockout, even better. We don't quite one-shot because this is Ultra League. Everything is a little bit bulkier, but we do so much damage that even if they land the Shadow Ball, our Poison Jabs are going to knock them out before their Astonishes are going to be able to take out our Tentacruel. Not only do we win that matchup, we come out of that with a full-on Scald loaded against this Shadow Feraligatr. They're going to take a decent chunk of damage. It's obviously resisted, but Shadow Gator, very squishy, and this puts it close to range where even just a Body Slam for our Licky could potentially close out this game. They throw a charge move, but the best thing about Licky, we resist Shadow Claws. Hydro Cannon does not two-shot. They're going to need 3 moves to knock out our Licky. They realize that's not a great matchup. They swap out to their Shadow Drapion, and this is where Sand Attack really comes in clutch. The fast move damage is going to add up so much quicker than Wing Attack would have in the past, and in comes Crunch. They must not be running Aqua Tail, must be a Sludge Bomb variant, which in Ultra League is actually fairly common for the other grass types you're going to see, and maybe for some of the flyers that you see, like the Moltres, the Manabuzz. So it makes sense. I run that move myself quite a bit in Ultra League, so it does make sense, but it's much worse for them here right now. I do still have to shield, though, because I need to make sure I fast move this down, and my energy and my fast move damage on our Gliscor is still going to put in a lot of work against that Shadow Feraligatr. We're going to throw the air release right here, try to get that shield, that first shield from this the Shadow Gator, so we can start going for Body Slam spam with our Licky, clear that defense drop that we had with that Crunch, and now there's really nothing they can do. I already have 1 Body Slam. We're going to be able to reach the next one very quickly. Hydro does not even put us into Shadow Claw downrange, opponent realizing not much they can do at that point. Alright, next game, Gliscor in the lead, up against the non-Shadow Feraligatr. Actually, it looks like it's purified too. Potentially could have a return, although I don't really expect that to be the case. It's probably just not the best Feraligatr in the world. I'm going to catch a Hydro Cannon on our Tentacruel. This is going to do so little damage, especially from the non-Shadow. A lot of wasted energy from our opponent, and then they come in with a Dragonite. This is a very interesting Pokemon to see. It's not even a Shadow Dragonite here, which is a Pokemon that is a lot more threatening for our Tentacruel. The non-Shadow variant is going to be so much less offensive that I can probably get to a Scald, maybe even 2, before the next Dragon Breaths are going to knock us out. They're going to have to throw another charge move if they want to take us out here anytime soon. They are going for the farm down. They don't quite get it. Scald isn't going to knock out because I guess the one thing about being non-Shadow, you're a little bit bulkier here, but this is still going to put them so low at this point. We're going to try to snap down with Rollout, but a little bit too slow on the swap here. They reach a move I have to respect a superpower, but they end up throwing a Dragon Claw instead. In comes their final Pokemon. They are so weak to Licky with this team. What is this? That is a Talonflame coming in. I know there's still that Feraligatr, so I know there's so much play for Licky this game, but also my Gliscor is kind of sitting in an odd spot. Our opponent, though, playing this out in a very interesting way, where they're absorbing damage on their Talonflame, then they come back in with Feraligatr after getting some Incinerate damage, potentially putting us into range where 2 moves could knock us out. But since this is the non-Shadow Feraligatr, it's still doing very little damage to us. I think we survive the next Hydro Cannon. I think we even are going to be able to survive the Shadow Claw damage, potentially get off all of these Body Slams and KO this Feraligatr and make it so our Shadow Gliscor should be able to win this game. They're going to reach another move here, give us a full rollout sneak. They kind of had to throw on alignment there, or else I would have been able to CMP potentially with a Body Slam, and now we see that the Talonflame does come back in. I think after landing this Body Slam, we should be in a very good spot. This Body Slam will put them very low. Our Gliscor has a lot of energy on it. We're going to throw our move before they reach theirs, snipe down all of their energy. We have a shield, we have energy, and I know that Shadow Feraligatr is not going to be able to sweep this game. In comes the Gator, or the non-Shadow, rather. Yeah, it's not able to take us out, and we win the game with our Shadow Gliscor. Okay, Talonflame, not a good lead to see, but we have 2 answers for it in the back. Honestly, this is a very strong team. We have a lot of kind of synergy here between Gliscor, Licky, and also Tentacruel. So, I mean, I think it's probably one of the more well-rounded teams you could honestly run in the Ultra League right now. We do save swap our Tentacruel. They haven't swapped out yet, which is kind of strange to me. They end up staying in, throwing a fly bait, and they are still in this matchup even after drawing a shield from me. How weak are you going to be to this Tentacruel to stay in this matchup this long? I got the debuff, so even if this is a Brave Bird, I survive it pretty easily. It is going to be a Brave Bird this time, but my Poison Jabs have tipped them into a range where I know Gliscor is not going to be in that bad of a spot, even if I have to align myself into it later on. In comes a Feraligatr, another non-shadow it looks like, but I got the debuff, I come in Licky Licky, and now we absorb all of the damage, overfarm as much as we can, and use our energy against this Feraligatr to potentially knock it out, and use our energy lead with our Shadow Gliscor that we might be able to get against that Talonflame later on. Another move is reached from this Feraligatr. This is a range where Earthquake probably needs to be thrown to knock them out here. I'm going to go for it. I want to make sure this thing does get knocked out or get that final shield if possible. Opponent does choose to no-shield the attack, and now in comes their final pick, a Virizion. Okay, so this is a very winnable game, but if I don't have my fast food pressure with Gliscor, I'm going to have to run and go for a full-on Aerial Ace if I want to knock them out. We are not running that wing attack that we used to run. We are having the sand attack instead, which is a move that doesn't do any fast food pressure to that grass-type Pokemon. Honestly, grass types for Gliscor are a little bit awkward nowadays, but I do have a lot of energy. I go for the Aerial Ace against the Talonflame. They end up shielding that move to try to get a bit more fast food pressure against us right now, but I can shield this up, overfarm, and make sure that I can outpace that Virizion to get to an Aerial Ace and take the win this game. As long as I have proper energy management, I know that there's no way Virizion can outpace me to that Leaf Blade, even though it is such a spammy Pokemon. Aerial Ace comes through, knocks out Talonflame, and now I can reach the move in just a second here. Is it going to be enough to knock out? If they survive this, they're going to have enough energy to be able to go and Leaf Blade or Tentacruel, but that Aerial Ace is enough to take out Virizion, and we win the game there. GG's to our opponent. All right, next game, Malamar in the lead. Very awkward lead matchup, actually. Back in the day, I guess last season, when you were running Fury Cutter Gliscor, this would be a fantastic lead because Dark and Psychic are both weak to Bug-type damage. Unfortunately, though, for us, we are not quite in a position where we can win this matchup, but our backline is also so weak to Malamar that we just have to stay in here. Looks like I might have lost a couple sand attacks there because we CMP'd. I just barely got to this Aerial Ace. They already got their Foul Play off, which means that is two Sideways that they got for free that I have no idea when they would have got them. I guess we kind of lagged a couple turns there at the start, but this Aerial Ace will come through, at least chip this Pokemon down a little bit, and maybe we'll have some play here. Opponent doesn't go for the farm down. I think their play there should have been to try to farm us down, have energy for our backline, but because of this energy that they're throwing, we can come in with our Tentacruel, farm them all the way down, hopefully before a Foul Play is reached. Yeah, just barely get that fast move down. In the backline, going to be a Licky Licky, and now it's going to be a bit of an awkward game, but a very winnable one as long as we play around our matchups properly, shield the Earthquakes, maybe catch a move later on, maybe even get Scald debuffs. That could definitely help out. We try to go for a catch, don't quite get it, but in the back going to be another Feraligatr. This Pokemon is probably one of the most common Pokemon you're going to see in Ultra League. Feraligatr is just such a strong pick, but luckily our backline is pretty strong into it. Hydro Cannon does come through, doesn't do too much damage, and I'm going to go for the Earthquake. I want to guarantee either a shield, or I want to do as much damage as I can to put them into Body Slam, or even just Poison Jab downrange. We're going to go for our fast moves, get as much energy as we can, just in case their own Licky Licky does come back in at any point. They do reach another Hydro. The third could potentially knock us out, which means that we want to start throwing our energy now, get shields maybe from this Feraligatr, and try our best to use our Licky Licky to win this game. They're close to another move here. We tried to make a catch, but our opponent does see it coming. That's not amazing. And now we're going to have to shield up these Earthquakes, potentially put them into range where Scald knocks them out with Poison Jabs. We have energy on Licky Licky, but we are kind of low on both of our Pokemon. I did properly shield up an Earthquake. That is huge. If we can go and knock out this Licky Licky before they can knock us out with an Earthquake, we're going to be in a very good spot. In comes another charge move. I'm shielding it up. I'm hoping right now they're not baiting us. Earthquake does come through. A lot of energy down the drain for our opponent right now. There's a chance they're running double nuke, I guess. They're not running Body Slam, perhaps. And if that is the case, going to make my life a lot easier. Let's see if I can make a catch on the Earthquake. If so, we're going to be in a very good spot, but no catch does happen. We have the Body Slam. We're going to throw it against this, try to put them into fast move farm down range. They do end up surviving that move, but they throw energy against our Licky Licky. This is huge right now. It means that they don't have that Earthquake loaded for our backline. They do end up throwing it, doesn't quite knock us out, and now Feraligatr will come in, but it is so low, our Tentacruel could fast move them down and take the game there. GG's to our opponent. All right, Steelix in the lead. Very good lead. They are running Thunderfang now, too, so it's such a strong lead now that I have a better fast move against them, and now that they're running a worse fast move against me. They swap in a Moltres, a Pokemon I don't have a hard answer to, as we saw earlier in the video, but I know for a fact I survive a Brave Bird, so if they throw a move this early, I know even if it is a Brave Bird, I'm in a good spot, despite taking a lot of damage, and if it's an Ancient Power, no shielding that is going to put me in such a good position as well. We can go for these Body Slams, try to put them into range where rollouts will knock them out, but this Moltres is going to be able to endure just a little bit longer longer than I'd like it to. These super effective rollouts are doing a lot of damage, but Body Slam is such an underwhelming move in this day and age. They go for another charge move here. I have to shield it up because I know a Brave Bird would knock us out. I'm hoping they don't get to another attack. If they do, it's just going to be an Ancient Power, but I'm hoping we get the fast move down. They survive on 1 HP. That is so ridiculous at this point, but I know if Steelix does come back in, that is what Earthquake is for. We should have a lot of play still. In comes the final Pokemon, though, Annihilate. This is going to be a little bit uncomfortable. They're going to get an energy lead here. If we had Shadow Ball, this would be a little bit better for us, but we were running Earthquake instead, so it does do a lot of damage to them. But how do I take out this Annihilate? They can ramp up with Rage Fist potentially, but our Gliscor is such a strong answer to Steelix that even with that said, I can just absorb the energy with our Tentacruel, potentially win the game using our Gliscor as what I invested shields in. I'm a little surprised by that top left, honestly, so early into that matchup, but I could see why they top left. It's a very bad matchup for them in the backline, but still, I think they had a little bit of play. All right, a very good lead, but actually one of the worst save swaps that we could see here. Malamar up energy is going to be very strong into our backline, but our whole team is also very strong against that Weezing. I have the ability to resist Fairy Winds with our Tentacruel. I have ground type damage on Licky and on Gliscor, so we should be in a pretty good position right now as long as we don't give up too much of an advantage. In comes the first charge move, no shield, because if they're going to throw a move that early on, I would have to assume they're going to go for Foul Play to maybe put us into superpower range later on. Earthquake comes through, does a lot of damage, but not quite enough to knock them out here. I'm going to have to shield it up if I don't want to take a superpower. We do end up shielding. What move do they throw? It is going to be the superpower coming through, and now the Weezing is going to get brought back in. I can go for the Earthquake, try to draw a shield from this Pokemon, and maybe if I get a shield advantage, I can come back in with either my Tentacruel or my Gliscor to absorb all of the energy that they have. I know at this point that if I come in Tentacruel, they have to throw Brutal Swings if they want to do any sort of damage. Overheat and Play Rough, which are their more efficient moves, are both resisted by Tentacruel, so I can just come in, do as much fast move damage as I can, make them waste all of their energy in this matchup. I have energy on Licky, I have my Gliscor still around, and my Tentacruel is in a very good position in this matchup. It's going to come down to the final Pokemon, though. Maybe they have a huge core breaker for my Gliscor and my Licky, but even if they do, we should be in a good position with our Tentacruel that can do so much work. In comes a Drifloon. I'm going to bait this time. It's not going to be able to one-shot them, but if they call it, I still do a lot more damage than I would do with an Airlace or with any charge moves from my Licky. Licky does resist the fast move pressure from Drifloon, but since I don't have Shadow Ball, my charge moves do nothing. Rollout does add up over time, but I think I'm in range where 2 Icy Winds could knock me out here. I just want this fast move pressure, though. I want to make sure that I can put this into range where Airlace from our Gliscor will knock out this Pokemon. I was able to throw an Earthquake there, but also by not throwing energy, I forced them to throw energy a little bit sooner. They don't know at this point if I'm going to be able to go for a Shadow Ball against them. They do throw the Icy Wind, and now I come in with my Shadow Gliscor, knowing that I can go for the Airlace, potentially knock this out, but always watching for a catch. I can clear my debuff if I need to, if they ever happen to debuff me, because I have my Tentacruel still alive. They try to make a catch, but I call it a mile away, send attack all the way down against that Malamar. I know Weezing is still around, but once I take out this Drifloon here, I can go for the sand attacks and the Airlace is potentially this fast move down all the way against this Weezing. In comes Weezing, a little bit healthier than I remember. I probably should have just gone for Earthquake here. They're not going to be able to knock out my Gliscor before I get it anyway, but even with that said, Ace plus just fast move pressure is going to be able to knock them out as well. Just shield up Brutal Swing. Even if they're at 2, I still have my Tentacruel very much alive in the backline, healthy enough that they cannot Fairy Wind me down, and our Gliscor just able to sand attack down anyway. GG's to them. All right, next game here. Looks like we're actually using the non-Shadow Gliscor for this game. I had a couple games today where I wanted to try out the non-Shadow as well. Ice Fang Hippowdon, huge team breaker here. One of the worst matchups I could probably possibly even see. Ice Fang does a lot of damage to our Gliscor. They have ground type damage here. They resist our rock type damage on Licky, so probably one of the worst matchups I could possibly have even imagined. But we're going to try to make it work, save swap our Tentacruel, because we did resist that ice type fast move pressure, and now that we shield up that Scorching Sands and see their Tentacruel come in, maybe there's a way to leverage some sort of energy this game. I just have to hope that there is. The Scald does come through, doesn't get a debuff against us, doesn't get a debuff against them with our own Scald, so dodging a lot of debuffs right now this game. Can we debuff them here with this move? If so, maybe we're going to have more play. Unfortunately, no debuff, but we are able to come in Gliscor once again. I know Gliscor is basically useless this game against that Hippowdon, so my best use case is to try to overfarm against this Tentacruel, keep my own Tenta in the back alive with some energy on it, and get as much energy as I can here to potentially go for an Earthquake. I think, though, that I can't store back-to-back Earthquake and Airlace, so I only have an ace-loaded, a debuffed Airlace at that point, because they did get that Scald debuff on us eventually, and now this isn't going to do a lot of damage, but maybe it'll put them into a range where I don't even know at this point. What are we going to do? We have to absorb energy on our Licky. I just have to hope that their backline Pokemon is just, like, really weak to us right now. I don't know. This Hippowdon is tearing through our team. We do absorb the Scorching Sands. They get a debuff once again against us here. I have to swap out, clear that debuff. Can I win this game? I don't even know. It's going to be close if there's a Pokemon weak to Licky in the back. I don't know what that would be, But like, maybe there's a chance. In comes that next Scorching. Since we dodged the debuff this time, Scald is gonna come through. It should draw a shield unless they're just like really confident in their backline Pokemon. What are they gonna do? They do end up shielding that attack, and we reach another Scald here. Okay, maybe there's play right now. We get both shields from this. We have energy on Licky Licky. If the final Pokemon is a pick that gets one shot by an Earthquake or something, maybe there's play. Virizion in the backline, not what I wanted to see, but maybe there's a chance if they let us get a charge move, which they do, and I do have energy on my Licky Licky. If I can survive a move from Virizion, a Sacred Sword, potentially I can get 3 Body Slams. It's going to be so close right now. Would that even be enough to knock out? Body Slam, not the strongest move out here. It does do quite a bit of damage, but I don't know if I can get to a third. If they go through 2 charge moves against us, then we're not going to really get to the 3 moves. And if they do just knock us out here, there's just no chance one way or another. I think I might survive this move, though. We do. If they try to go for the farm down, which they also try to do, Body Slam does get landed here. Does it get the knockout, though? It doesn't. They survive on 1 HP. So close. I don't know how I almost won that game against the Hippowdon, the Ice Fang Hippowdon, one of the worst case scenarios for our entire team. But I mean, at the end of the day, GG's to them. Very spicy pick. Maybe I'll have to try that out myself. All right, Gliscor into the Florges. Very neutral lead matchup. We don't resist any damage. They don't resist any damage. It's all going to come down to just the raw stats of these Pokemon. Who has the better moves? Who has the better defensive bulk on their Pokemon? So we're going to shield up this Moonblast. I know it's a very strong move, and I know it's very likely that you're just going to go straight Moonblast on that first attack. We're going to go Earthquake as well. I want to guarantee a shield here if possible, or at the very least get a lot of damage against them if they do let it go, and potentially try to catch a move on our Tentacruel. They don't fall for the catch, which is unfortunate, but in comes a Guzzlord. Guzzlord is generally a good answer to Water-type Pokemon, but Tentacruel has Poison Jab, which does a decent chunk of damage to them, and I also have Blizzard. We've been landing Blizzards left and right today, but am I going to be lucky enough to land one last one here today? Blizzard is going to be thrown. I'm not going to bait, because they might try to call it. I've seen a lot of Tentacruels running Acid Spray. What do? They let it go. We one-shot them with that Blizzard. Fantastic stuff from our Tentacruel save swap. That Florges does have a lot of energy on it, but in the backline, we're going to see their final pick is a Golisopod. Tentacruel is going to be able to throw this Scald here against them. These Poison Jabs are adding up, and I don't even think they can knock us out just yet with a charge move. This Pokemon doesn't really have a lot of efficient ways to damage our Tentacruel, right? Shadow Claw does add up, but their charge moves of X-Scissor, Liquidation, potentially Air Release are not the strongest moves in the game. We survive the charge move, but they do still fast move us down. I'm going to absorb the energy with our Licky Licky. We are a very bulky Pokemon. These Shadow Claws do nothing to us as well. And I know as long as this Pokemon doesn't get a Liquidation off against our Gliscor, we should be in a pretty good spot. Licky Licky at this point, once again, is just meant to absorb all of the damage that I can, no shield this Moonblast, and then save my shields for my Shadow Gliscor. Earthquake will come through. It'll do a lot of damage if it ends up landing, and if I get that shield, my Gliscor should be able to reach a charge move against this thing, potentially knock them out with an Earthquake, or maybe even an Air Release later on. I'm going to no shield knowing a Moonblast doesn't knock us out quite yet, and I don't want to get one-shot by a potential move from that Golisopod. Liquidation would do a lot more damage here. Earthquake is going to have to be thrown after that attack drop. It does come through, gets the knockout against Florges, and now this Golisopod cannot fast move us down. We have the Air Release ready to go. It will knock this Pokemon out and take the game here. GG's to our opponent. Gliscor putting in a lot of work there that game. Honestly, the Shadow and the non-Shadow Gliscor, it's kind of hard to say which one's better. I think I prefer Shadow, though. Just having that little bit more offensive pressure with Sand Attack and Air Release, not exactly the strongest moves in general, so having that extra damage boost definitely helps out quite a bit. Ending the day off with a 5-0 here as well is always a fun thing to do. We ended up starting out with our starting elo, I think it was 21-51, and we climbed up quite a bit today, actually. Let's see what this ends up getting us to here in just a second. It was a very fun team to use. I think very good coverage. Yeah, we climbed up to 2285. I guess that's over 130 points here today, just with this Shadow Gliscor team. So if you want to get a team that works out very well in the Open Ultra League, make sure to give Shadow Gliscor a try. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I stream my battles basically every day at twitch.tv/ItsAXN. So if you want to see this kind of content live, please make sure to check me out there. Also, I'm going to upload a lot more videos to the channel. So if you want to see more content like this, please make sure to subscribe. Thank you again for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.